I had a recent conversation with a friend. We were talking about the COVID pandemic of the last 2 years, and you've probably been talking about it as well. We really can't get away from it as much as we might like. He made a comment that the last 2 years have been kind of like a world war, in that the entire world has been impacted by COVID and the pandemic. Economies have been turned upside down. The behavior among nations and peoples have been radically changed. In some cases, probably there are permanent changes to how we live our lives as a result of the pandemic of the last 2 years. And as we go into 2022, here now at the end of the calendar year, we don't know what the next phase of this will bring. We're dealing with the latest variant, the Omicron variant of the COVID virus. There may be one or two or more others that will come. What is being realized is that we're moving from the time of pandemic to what you'll hear the term and have already heard it, and it is endemic. In other words, COVID is going to be something with us ongoing into the future, just like other forms of the flu virus that we have worked with and dealt with for a long period of time. That's likely what is going to happen, and we're going to learn to manage. As I was saying in an earlier BT Daily, we're going to have to be resilient and be able to have a spiritual center on which we anchor our whole approach and our whole understanding of the world scene and condition when it comes to disease and the COVID virus, for us to cope with it and to move forward and be able to live our lives. That's going to be critically important. And as we look ahead into 2022, none of us can foresee every detail except the reality that it's not going to go away soon, and we will have to adjust and work with things. There is a scripture, and there's many scriptures that we could turn to in this, but in Luke 21, as Jesus was talking about events that would be taking place as signs of the end of the age, in verse 9, Luke 21, Christ said, "When you hear of wars and commotions, do not be terrified, for these things must come to pass first, but the end will not come immediately." We're not necessarily right at the end of the age. I think there are prophetic foundations that are being laid with events right now that weigh heavily upon prophecies of Christ's understanding and what He gave to us about the end of the age. But we're going to have to work our way through a lot more before we get to that point. See that you're not terrified. That's what Christ said. Step back, look up, be resilient, be able to cast our yoke upon Christ and yoke ourselves with Him so that we can manage and move through these situations, keeping everything together. It is an important thing to consider as we move into 2022 with all that is happening. That's BT Daily. Join us next time.